My name is Gary Dehart. I do want a publisher of Insightful Accountant, and do want to say welcome to everybody for joining us for this webinar, the Tech Stack Solutions to Grow Your Practice. Our speakers today are Val Steed and Nathan Rogerson, both with Zoho. Val's been in the space for 35 plus years from the hardcore accounting technology side, right, Val?
Right.
And then Nathan's been 6 years on the accounting and advisory side as well. So both, veterans of our space. I also been in this space for longer than I can recall, actually. I think it's probably 15 or 16 years, which is pretty hard to believe. So, but that's where we are. So a couple of housekeeping things. This does not have CPE. Please put your questions into the chat. You won't be able to chat to one another. Actually, it may even be you may have to put them in the questions panel, not the chat. We will have the slide presentation added into the chat once we start this presentation. Then also it will be sent to you following this event, probably I think it's within 24 hours, you'll get a link to download the presentation as well as a link to our YouTube page, which is where this recording will sit. Usually takes about 3 or 4 days to get that recording posted to YouTube, but that'll be sent out to everybody within, like I said, within about 24 hours. Anything else that I missed? No. So I know you guys have a lot to cover. One quick question for you, and that is, we're a Zoho user. This is, I logged in yesterday and saw that I've been on Zoho for 6 years, which is shocking to me. Can't believe it's, again, been that long. Started with Zoho CRM about a year and a half ago, moved over to actually about 2.5 years ago, we started using Zoho campaigns. And then probably a year and a half ago, moved over to Zoho One, which is and I'm sure you're going to cover all this, but super incredibly comprehensive suite of tools, right? Ranging from your basic CRM to your accounting package to I'm using Survey now for the first time. And it's amazing to me how much is there. And I think our challenge as small business is taking the time to really learn it. And we kind of talked about it prior to this, but our experience with it has been fantastic. So we're a user of it, a recommender of it. I just wish I knew more about it so I could use it really for its full potential. So I'm going to go dark here and let you guys do your thing. And then, like I said, I'll put the presentation into the chat. Everybody can download that. So thank you both. Appreciate you taking some time with us today.
No, thank you, Gary. And everybody can see my screen, right? Val, you can see it?
Yep, you're looking good there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. As Gary said, our presentation today is about adding value to your practice. Myself, Nathan Rogerson, and Val Steed will be going through it. Val will kind of go over what it looks like in the accountant practice, and also I'll go over what technology could look like for an accountant as well. So here's some pictures of us. We are on the screen as well, but my name is Nathan Rogerson. As Gary said, I've been the accounting advisory side I was in it for about 5 years, and then I got into Zoho. So I've been loving it ever since. And I've been with Zoho for almost 3 years now on the partner development side. And I'm here to really help grow our partner channel accountants specifically. And Val Steed is our director for the accountant channel. I'll kind of let him introduce himself real quick.
Right. Yeah. CPA background. So I've been in the accounting profession for many years and involved in accounting technology for really a long time. Started that in college, actually, with electronic spreadsheets. But very happy to be here today and kind of share with you why I'm at Zoho. As we'll go through, you'll hear a bit of that, and why I think this is really the next generation of SaaS apps. And I'll share a couple of key points why Zoho is different as we're going through this presentation. So Gary actually brought up, by the way, I'll just mention right here, right front, Gary actually brought up one of the issues that Nathan and I are working on, and that is a lot of our small business customers need a lot more training on Zoho. And we're looking to get more guidance, more training, more information out there in the US group to help folks that are trying to learn Zoho. So that's another thing we're doing, Gary, too, just so you know.
Yeah, get the full package. Yeah, for
right.
sure. And kind of what I was mentioning is I'm in charge of the partner channel here at Zoho. If you want to know more about this, we'll talk about it here at the very end, but go to zoho.com/CPA. And you can also send Val or myself an email to learn more. But you get a demo account, shared license revenue, accountant team support, sales referrals, and partner connection referrals, which is also a really cool thing. Our partners really connect with each other and collaborate and work on our customers together. So it really helps us out and helps out our customers as well.
Right. And don't let that domain throw you off. We had to pick a domain that was short and small, but all accounting, bookkeepers, accountants, people dealing with accounting systems are welcome on that site to come join and get help and get accounts and, move information forward.
Yeah, for sure. And here's our learning objectives for today. So really, we're here to understand accounting trends and why firms are moving towards these services, identify and implement the best techniques to engage in system consulting, analyze technology tools to add to your offered technology stack, list new services that can be offered by going beyond the general ledger is really what our message is, and understand how to expand your client accounting services through Zoho. And I'll go ahead and let Val get started, and I'll pick up here later.
Yeah, we'll jump back and forth and in and out as we're going down through this. But we like to take you from what you know to what you may not know based on what we're trying to share today. And traditional services offered by accountants are like your traditional accounting, bookkeeping, tax, compliance, and auditing. And truth is, there's nothing wrong with these services. There are some in our industry, and it does bother me when I hear it because I've been in this industry for a lot of years. But there are some running around in our industry that'll tell firms and accountants and others that, their write-ups going away next year, or people are going to do all their own tax returns and stuff like that. No. You could make decent money doing all that. What we're here talking about today, though, is if you want to do something that's in the tech area where you could make better money. And the idea kind of comes from a lot of the services that people are buying from accountants. So this survey we got up in front of you right now, it's a little bit older, but it's still very valid. If you take a look at it, look at tax services. It's huge. Bookkeeping is still very, very big. And I remember distinctly being on an AICPA committee around the year 2000, and the AICPA issued some guidance to the entire profession saying that bookkeeping was disappearing. Let's see, what are we, 2022 now? Anyway, but in particular, on this survey, let me kind of focus in on two areas, okay? You can see the payroll, you can see the bookkeeping, but let me focus in on two areas: planning, tax planning, and business planning. Business planning with software tools is a big area where accountants can really change the world, if you will. And so that's what we want to talk about today. Maybe stepping out of your comfort zone, getting you out into a new consulting area, using new technology, new stack, to help you build a better practice, or maybe even a more profitable practice. So what's that changing role of accountants look like? Keep coming down there, Nathan.
Oh yeah, sorry.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. And this is not new, and accountants know this already. Accountants are so close to their clients and others that they know intimate details of their financial details. And in fact, a lot of times, whether we liked it or not, as accountants, we ended up learning intimate details of their personal life because we were dealing with the financial side of it. And then they'd talk to us about other stuff. Probably about one of the oddest questions I ever got as a practicing accountant, I was in public practice for about 15 years, was what car should I buy? So they looked to us they trust us. They look to us. Let's leverage off that. And we could take that trust and we can build that into this technology consulting. Now, part of that as you go forward is you need to make sure that you have good recommendations for these people as they come to you looking for solutions. Now, we already know that bit about why they're trusted and what firms are doing, but let me kind of show you a little bit of what these firms are doing now a bit. Here, we picked out a few firms, and you can see they've got their typical tax accounting write-up, but then they've got technology, straight up just technology consulting. Technology consulting again with enterprise and cloud services and information technology with this particular group. And here's one that does a whole 360 business look with, accounting, bookkeeping, consulting, tax, all this stuff. And I'm telling you, firms or even just sole practitioners, small firms even, that are doing this now are making very good money in this consulting area related to technology. So this whole area hasn't really disappeared. It's grown significantly for those that actually really do a good job with the client service and knowing a good solution and then stepping forward and be willing to help folks. So why are they doing this? A lot of it comes from your traditional financial statements. Your traditional financial statements really pretty much are looking in the rearview mirror. I'll never forget, I was at dinner with a gentleman named Doug Burgum. And if you don't know Doug Burgum, you got to probably look that one up. Currently, he's the governor of North Dakota. Back in the day, he was president CEO of Great Plains Software. And I was at dinner with him, and he looks up at dinner one night and says, caught me completely off guard. And he said, Val, when are accountants going to stop looking in the rearview mirror? And I said, what? He said, when are accountants going to stop looking in the rearview mirror? Every report they use is an historical report, and it's looking backwards. And he's very right on that. So the challenge, and I would say it's not really much of a challenge, I guess that's a bad word to use there. The opportunity that lays before you today is to look to solutions that help you look forward. So forward-looking solutions rather than looking backwards. So accountants can help businesses look at this bigger picture by trying to add value with services they need to automate, and also kind of looking forward, kind of give you an idea. My business that I was at prior to this, we were a little bit like Gary's business. We didn't start with CRM with Zoho. We actually started with the campaign product, the mail product. But then we looked at our business, and at that time I was with K2 Enterprises, was one of the founding partners there, and we were doing a lot of CP training all over the country, and we were doing a lot of consulting. We had about 8 to 10 instructors going all over the country, and we were managing expense reports via Excel spreadsheets. And let me tell you, you want to get a mess on your hands, ask 8 different Excel instructors how to lay out an expense report, and you're going to get 16 different answers. Okay, it was a mess. And so we finally decided we need to go to this expense reporting tool. Well, Zoho had one. It's called Zoho Expense. And just correcting and cleaning up that expense reimbursement area for our small business was huge. And after that, we got very excited about Zoho Solutions. So then we actually went to Zoho CRM, and it was about then that I decided these products are really good, and I already knew Zoho. So I decided to join Zoho to become part of this whole movement forward with this wonderful company. So what reason you offer these value-added services often is to clean up processes that are really dragging down the business. So not only forward-looking, but clean up existing processes. And I'll tell you, that's going to really help these clients get sticky for you, because you're going to be really trusted and they're going to really need you. Value-added roles for accountants. You could be simply business advisory services. And we'll talk about one area that you should have had an opportunity in here in a second, but there's also the outsourced virtual CFO. And I'll tell you, don't discount that one. Even if you don't want to do much with the technology, but you're really a good accountant and good with running tools. You're like, I don't want to implement tools, but I want to be able to hang out my shingle and help companies. Might take you a while to build up your clientele, but you can do very well as an outsourced virtual CFO, because there's many businesses cannot afford a full-time CFO. So they'll be willing to pay some there. So let's go down these roles here quickly and just kind of talk about some different opportunities. Business advisory, well, typical accounting, tax planning, accounting services. Cash flow for small businesses is huge. Absolutely huge. Here's one you should have had an opportunity with. How many of you overnight turned into like loan advisors, loan officers, helping your clients get loans? That was one you should have been involved in. And by the way, I talked to a lot of accountants, and the vast majority of accountants that help businesses through this PPP program did not bill for their time. that's a mistake, opportunity missed, because clients would be willing to pay that bill quicker than they'll pay your regular compliance bills.
Yeah, for sure.
Outsourced CFO, as I mentioned, big. And there's 2 or 3 different levels of outsourced CFO. You could be simply an outsourced like bookkeeper. You could be more of a controller, helping them manage business policies. And then you could also step higher to the CFO level function where you're helping them business plan and plan on financing and expansion and management decisions. So there's different places and ways here. Let me give you a quick story. I ran into one of my friends that started with me at Deloitte. When I started with Deloitte years and years ago, really enjoyed working with this guy. I hadn't seen him in many years. I ran into him at a training class for something that's completely unrelated to technology. And he and I were talking, and I said, what are you doing now? Because I remembered he'd been through a pretty tough Chapter 11 reorganization with one of the audit clients at Deloitte, and there was some lawsuits that were filed, and he sailed through all that and brought that business back into the market and lived through it all. And I said, tell me more about all that. And he said that whole experience was really tough, but it was great because I learned how to sail through all this. And now he says, well, I got my own shingle hang out there. I'm an outsourced CFO, and I'm doing really well with all this. And I talking to him a little bit, and I said, so how many clients do you have? And he held up 4 fingers. And I was like, wait a minute, you make good enough money from 4 clients? He said, oh, absolutely. He said, after a while, you pick up bigger and bigger clients. So don't discount this area. You could really do well with an outsourced CFO type role. Now, technology consultants, that's kind of the focus of where we're going today. The stack that we offer and the solutions that are out there, and it's not just us, there's many, many great solutions out there. We would, our claim to fame, and I'll just tell you right here, about as good a spot as any. One of the key reasons why I joined Zoho is they are a privately owned company, and they will never sell out to venture capital or Wall Street or any of these. They're not going to go public. This is a deep family owned product that comes out of India that's got deep roots all around the globe, and they're going to keep going here. So think about it for a minute. This is a SaaS solution stack, very well secured. We'll explain that as we go down here a little further. We'll explain our sister company that secures this globally, that's privately owned, that's never going to really sell out. And that's why I joined them. I kind of believed in this vision. So if you're looking at a stack to get involved in, you say, I don't know Zoho, I don't trust this company, investigate a little further as we're talking about today, because that's where I think you're going to find what I've found is this one has a lot of potential. We may not have every solution in place right now. Give you an example. We don't have a fixed assets app. Okay. So that's one we're working on. Right. So as technology consultants, you can help your clients with implementations. You can help migrate their data, and migration shocked me. I talked to one of our partners about what they're billing for migrations to the Zoho platform. So from other platforms to the Zoho platform, it's not small dollars, folks. This is a good area to provide consultation services in. So take your knowledge as accountants, your background, your experience, and combine technology to that. And what do you get? You get pretty powerful combination. I'll tell you honestly, the partners, both not only our partners, but also we go to these conferences. We were at Scaling New Heights with Gary and Seifel, and a lot of folks at different conferences. And I talked to a lot of these partners that do Sage or might do Intuit or do Acumatica. They're all terribly busy. Okay, so this is a good environment to get involved in. And so that technology component really brings an extra skill to you. And truth is, that's not new. When I was with my small firm, that's what we did. We did a lot of these implementations. You're going to hear from experience here in a minute when I give you practice tips, because we learned a lot of stuff from the School of Hard Knocks in 15 years of implementing information systems. So choose a tech stack. Choose more than one if you're big enough. And how do you choose it? Okay. Well, first, identify the client needs. Why invest in technology? Oh, sorry. I thought that was a client needs slide right there. My bad. And by the way, you're going to need to invest some time in this. Don't jump in here and think you're going to know everything overnight. This is going to require some training, some digging in, some investigation on your part. Whenever we pick up a new product, in my firm, we handled 3 or 4 products. We had Great Plains, we had Sima, we had QuickBooks, and we also had open systems that we help people with. Each one we had to learn on and spend some time with. That can help transform your business from just general consulting, like I said, in a very profitable business. Now, identifying those client needs. Niche areas are really big. I don't know exactly how we fell into it as a firm, but we ended up getting into, years ago, the medical billing area. And it actually served the firm terribly well, because these doctor clients we got would talk to the doctor friends, and we ended up getting new clients for regular accounting and other stuff. But we were putting in these medical billing systems for these doctors and dentists all over the valley, and it became big. In fact, we got really good at helping other firms' clients too. Let me give you a little advice on that. If another firm asks to partner with you or brings in a business to you and you work with them on that deal, sooner or later, I guarantee it, doesn't matter who the client is, sooner or later, the client's going to complain to you about that other firm. Don't get into that. Just completely block that and stay out of it. Because if you want to stay with your reputation as maintaining, being very good at working at other firms' clients, helping with technology, stay out of the ugliness that they'll sooner or later bring up. Don't forget that needs analysis. Here's my first big practice tip, and it really comes off the prior slide, but I wanted to make a big deal of it here. Why is this terribly important? Let me take you back to a conference we were at a little while ago. Nathan and I were at a pretty good sized conference that was talking about CAS, and they had some really good sessions on CAS, client accounting services, and getting involved. And some people say that's client accounting services or client accounting and auditing service. Well, whatever, CAAS or CAS. CAS, I've seen it spelled multiple ways. The idea is helping your clients with accounting information systems. Too many of the consultants in the room in this one particular discussion, I was listening to this, and towards the end of the discussion, I just had to say, hey, wait a minute. You guys, everyone in this room is talking about how to sell what you already have. Be careful, because what you're going to do there is you're going to force a square peg in a round hole. The first thing you have to do when you find a new implementation or new possible implementation, you've got to go in and find out, what does the client really need? You know, do they need Acumatica? And I don't sell Acumatica, so I'm going to maybe go out and find a partner to work with me on that. Okay. If they need Acumatica, don't sell them QuickBooks, because you're going to really sooner or later get burned on that. We learned that the hard way. Okay. So we got good at partnering, but that without that needs analysis, going through and really looking at what you're looking for in a needs analysis, you're looking for landmines. You look for something like, oops, wait a minute, their accounts receivable is much deeper and much more involved than I ever dreamed of. Or their payroll has union options and multi-state and deeper stuff there than I really expected. Figure that out on the front end. Ask a lot of deep probing questions.
Yeah, your job as a consultant is really to protect your client. Obviously, like Val said, we would love it if you sold our product to everybody, but we know that from our experience that it might not be the best fit. And if it's not the best fit, we don't want an unhappy customer. We don't want an unhappy partner. So it's really good idea to kind of see what those needs are to begin with. Sorry to kind of step in on that one.
Well, like I say, we do this as a panel, Nathan, so jump in and out as you like. So how do you choose this tech stack? Well, there's a lot out there. Let's take a look at a few of these. Traditionally, you take a look at finance, and you can see a pile of finance, sales, marketing, products. There's piles and sales products, and you get the idea. So here's the thing. There's a lot out there. Pick what you're going to support. And then if your business is really growing, maybe add one, a different stack every now and then when you feel like their clients are asking more and more about it. But learn how to partner. And let me tell you, if you're looking for a partner on a deal, the number one thing you've got to do is you better be checking references. Okay. Make sure these people know what they're doing. Also, as you're looking at partnering or even looking at an implementation, you better also have a point where you say, you know what, we're going to walk away from this deal. We see too many red flags on this deal. We'll let somebody else take it. When I was doing a lot of this, okay, we had a few hard rules that we used when to walk away. And I'll share one with you. And it's kind of funny, but it's actually very true. If the person running or responsible at that company that I'm working with is the person responsible for that implementation in that company that I'm working with is related to the owner of the business, that's a caution flag. Because, you know, implementations are tough, folks. So you got somebody that's related to the owner that's complaining on the backside. Okay, that's a warning flag. The red flag is if they're married to the owner, you walk away. And we always did. We learned that one the hard way. Okay. That's not good. Another real warning too, is if they don't really understand accounting, you're working with somebody implementing a company and they can't understand the flow of accounting, essentially kind of like by hand. Okay. If they can't get the flow, or they don't kind of know debits and credits and know where things go, that's a warning flag. You've got to look around and maybe talk to the owner and say, you know, you've had this person recording your transactions for 15 years, but as you're trying to grow here and you're going to a bigger, information system, we might need to bring in somebody new. And I'll tell you, those situations are pretty difficult and sensitive. So good luck with that, but be careful there. Okay. That can end up being something that bites you as well. So here's your building blocks. You take all those, you put all those together, and often what that involves, it involves integration. So many people look at this as a multi-vendor solution. Remember, for years, what we did, and we were doing this back with my firm back in the day, what we would do is we would pick the best of breed, and then where we didn't have something, you know, like an expense solution. I'll just pick on QuickBooks right now. If you go out and put in QuickBooks, and then somebody's got to have an expense management solution, like we had to have at K2 Enterprises, you've got to integrate something like Expensify or Tally, or you get the idea. Instead, maybe consider a single platform here. Why? Integrations are very complex. They don't always work as promised. Trust me, I've been down that road many times. Also, when you get a third-party integration, you can at times get, well, you kind of get more than you really bargained for. You've got issues with real-time data synchronization, authentication and access control. And, you know, is this stuff really syncing? Is it really workflow? And multiple vendors means when something goes wrong, your people are pointing multiple different places. So it turns into multiple logins, administrative headaches. You know, this integration thing can kind of really turn to a headache. And we've seen numbers as high as 1 to 7. So you pay 7 times as much for the integration as you actually paid to buy the software solution or the SaaS solution in the first place. So instead, what we'd maybe consider, and that's what we're here talking about with the Zoho ecosystem today, is a single unified platform. All of our applications are built from the ground up in-house. We didn't buy anybody. They were designed to talk to each other from the get-go. Single company, single platform, single sign-on. Secured. This is probably a good place as any, Nathan, to talk to him just briefly about our sister company that secures our SaaS app. We only run on our sister company. That company is called ManageEngine. They manage a global network of hardware networks around the globe. They've been around longer than we have. We've been around 25, 26 years. They've been around about 35 years to 40 years, I believe. A lot longer than we have. They actually brag on clients as big as like GE, Lufthansa, others. So if you go and look up ManageEngine, you'll see them, right? So this is a little bit of a family-owned operation here, secured globally, and we're huge on privacy. Not only do we maintain GDPR, we even have our internal privacy police. To give you an idea, I was running a deal at a conference for next week in London, one of our Zoho conferences. We'd invited some accounting technology influencers to dinner, And before we could actually sign them up for the dinner and also sign them up for Zoholics, even though we invited them, and they'd said yes, I had to go back last night and get actual verbal confirmation from them in email that it was okay to sign them up for Zoholics and okay to sign them up for the dinner. We're just really, our owner is very, very nuts about privacy. We don't know what our customers are doing, and we don't let anybody else see what our customers are doing. So this is a very secure, single unified platform.
Yeah, for sure.
And all integrated. These are some older logos, but it's all integrated. One vendor, one account, one support.
And yeah, so thanks for kind of walking us through that, Val. And I'll go over what that really looks like as from an accountant's point of view on some applications that we have ourselves. And also you can take this to other applications that are out there as far as technology tools as well. So as an accountant, we feel it's very important. You need to streamline AR and automate AP processes. And really our whole idea about these technologies that we recommend is you want to save yourself time. And the reason for that is kind of what Val went through is you free up time, you can start offering these more value added services and start recommending other services and products to your clients and potentially earning more for yourself. So starting with streamlining AR, you need to streamline cash flow as much as possible. And for example, in Zoho Books, you're able to send out payment reminders. I know this helps me out a lot. For example, I have a doctor who always sends me our payment reminders to the mail, who gets those all the time and they just never pay them. I'm really guilty at that because I actually have to call them and pay. They don't have like a QR code, something built in where I can just type in my number. They're not sending me reminders through email. So effectively they're losing money for me. I'm paying eventually, unfortunately, I don't necessarily want to pay, but I have to pay. But they're losing money from me in the AR side just because it takes me so long to pay. And I'm, that's me being guilty of being part of the digital transformation age. But I just wish they would have something like multiple payment options where you just send them an invoice through email and you can just sign up through a credit card. So as an accountant, you really have to think about that for your clients and yourself is how can you get paid quicker and more effectively? And what are your customers? How do they want to pay you? Do they want to pay through PayPal, through Square, by credit card? You need to be able to offer these type of options to them. So Val also has this other practice tip. I'll read it for him so he can kind of go into it. So cash flow projections are probably the #1 way to win over a client.
Absolutely.
We see this all. Yeah, I'll let Val kind of dive in.
Yeah, just let me give you guys a heads up on this. Even today, and use different tools. There's budgeting. They've got a little bit of forecasting in a lot of your tools today. This one you might fall back to a little bit of spreadsheet work still, but anything you could do to try to help them so they don't end up short, a month or whatever, and panicking is huge, and it'll make them really sticky.
For sure. And that kind of goes into if you're automating as much as those cash flows as possible, then you're able to really take advantage of these projections and you're able to see how much money you have at the end of the month or at the end of a quarter or something.
Let me answer one question we had earlier. I've tried to click in on it and answer it, typing. It wouldn't let me do it. Maybe as a panelist, I'm not given the right opportunity. Edward Ware asked, are these products available in Canada? Actually, yes, globally. We are available globally. In fact, in Canada, that's where we have our Toronix Zoholics in a couple of weeks. We're having a user conference with partners and other folks over in Toronto. And if you want an invite, let me know. I'd like to make sure you're connected there. So our email too, we'll share those at the end of the presentation and be happy to connect you, Edward, make sure you get the information you need.
Definitely. Yeah, it's coming up in 2 weeks and you can really learn a lot about what Zoho has to offer. And Val and myself will be there in person as well. So another thing accountants need to do, they need to reduce data entry as much as possible. And as you can see from the automating cash flow, you're probably saving, let's just say you're saving 10 minutes a day doing that, or maybe potentially even more with reducing data entries as well. You could do this through we have our own client portal and other technologies have this, but it's something where we have this fully integrated with our accounting app, which is Zoho Books. And what's cool about this client portal is you're able to send out estimates, invoices, get paid through this client portal. Also, your clients can send you documentation that really allows you to collaborate with your clients effectively. So there's no misinformation and no missed payments. And definitely, like for me, for example, whenever I used to do my accounting advisory, I had a hard time whenever I was doing it by myself, whenever I first started out. It was difficult at times to get payments and get invoices approved, just because if you wait too long, then people might try to fight back on it because they don't remember it or they don't know what it takes to kind of clean up their accounting software. So whenever you're collaborating with them from the very get-go, they know exactly what's happening in the account, and basically they can approve that estimates and invoices as they go. So there's no hang up, which is really great for you, and it saves you some time going back and forth through emails. And also, if you have multiple team members, you can automate notifications. And this is great because you can see what's happening with the approval process. If something's been viewed, like say if you need to see if your manager's viewed it, or if you're the manager, you need to see what stage it's at or if it's been approved. So it's a really great tool to kind of limit the communication, reaching out, and emails. And also another big thing is you need to make sure you automate those recurring invoices. By doing, reducing manual efforts by automating recurring invoices, this can really save you time throughout every single day. So let's just say earlier with the reminders and the automatic invoices and everything, you're saving yourself potentially 20 minutes a day at this point. So imagine 20 minutes a day per week, and then that saves you some time to start focusing on other types of services. So it's very important that these apps get connected. The reason for this is what I've seen personally in my accounting roles is I was always sending stuff to Excel and trying to connect stuff and doing my own type report dashboards through Excel. And obviously that's great for me. I know how to use it, but my manager didn't know how to use it. My coworker didn't know how to use it. So if I was out sick or something, nobody would know what's going on. They would have to call me if I'm on vacation, kind of figure out what's happening. So by having these interconnected apps, you can have everything speak to each other from your accounting tools, your inventory tools, expense tools, and other apps like CRMs. That really helps you collaborate with other team members. For example, like sales and finance, you can sync customer data, sync transactions, mash up reports, and collaborate with the sales teams and finance teams.
Let me add one thing there, Nathan. Could you back up one slide just for a second? Okay, one thing, folks, that's a traditional slide. Okay, Zoho apps don't use APIs to go back and forth to each other. They're natively connected, but you can connect best of breed with APIs if the solutions will talk to each other. But that slide's a little misleading because we were talking about the Zoho stack, and then suddenly we got these apps with the API little indicator in between. No, our apps talk to each other natively. There's no API between. They're just talking to each other. Keep going, Nathan. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for that, Val. Yeah, that's something that's very important too. Whenever you're doing those setups, is whenever you have that native connection, it's just a few clicks and you're connected. Obviously, you need to do your due diligence to make sure you're connecting in the right way, like as in just like someone would need to do their due diligence with setting up their accounting platforms. You need to know exactly what's revenue and what's not revenue. So you need to kind of do your due diligence in that way, but it is very simple if you know what direction to go in. But by doing this, you're able to sync customer data, sync transactions, and mash up reports. So for example, someone in CRM puts in a contact, it goes over to Zoho Books. So you don't need to do double entry and send that customer over to your accountant. It's already there, and vice versa. You can also have that customer information in both platforms, so CRM and in Zoho Books. And you can see as a sales rep how much you've sold and what the outstanding receivables are. And as an accountant, you can see that as well. And what's really useful about that is, which I'll go into here, is you can kind of see what is happening on the sales side if your client is paying you, or if they're not paying you, if you're overpaying, well, if you're overselling to a client and they're just taking a long time to pay. So that communication can just go both ways from CRM, from the sales rep to the accountant. and you can start seeing, what products they're purchasing. So you can really dive deep into what a customer wants and what you need to do for example, for the inventory stock. By doing this, you can have sales reps not oversell anything. So basically, what we've seen definitely in these pandemic times is inventory's been crazy. People have been, low on stock, and it's great to have that sales rep know exactly what's low on stock and what they have stock and what's coming in. And this can really make your customer happy where you're not missing any shipments or anything like that. So for example, in CRM, this is what it would look like, right? This is coming from our inventory tool, and it's over here in our CRM tool. So the sales rep knows exactly what needs to be packed, what's been shipped, and what's been invoiced. So they know they can keep their customer up to date, and also get in touch with the accountant if they see any problems with that, or if they don't want to necessarily oversell to their customer. Another great thing with tools out there is, for example, expense management. This can be done directly through our CRM from our expense app. You can have this dashboard and really see the ROIs and what's happening with your customers. So you can see if it's really paying off, how much you're spending on them, taking them out to dinner, sending them gifts, or even traveling to go see them in person. So you can have these really nice dashboards through great analytic dashboards that are natively built into our apps. However, another great thing as far as like a value-added services accountants can offer as well is cross-functional analytics. I think this is the future for a lot of accounting firms, is kind of diving into this analytics type platform where you're taking things from a CRM tool, an accounting tool, an expense tool, inventory, all these different tools, and building these great dashboards. So really here, the limitations, your imagination. You can create anything with bar charts, line graphs, all the types of charts you could possibly want. You can even just dump it in there and have it look similar to like a CSV file, if that's how you like to view your data, and see your important KPI metrics and customize it for your customer or for yourself to kind of see into the future or from historical information. So another tip Val had is numbers blind people. Graphics and analytics will win the day. We see this all the time in our team internally. We build our own analytics dashboards to kind of keep track of what's going on, and just gives you a quick overview of the business and also where you're headed. So we find it very important and useful. And like I'm mentioning, we're seeing a lot of our partners kind of go this route for their clients and develop these awesome analytics dashboards.
Yeah,
Do you have anything?
you'll run into people that literally, we're used to looking at the numbers. You can look at a financial report and you can see what's wrong, but there's a lot of folks that can't grasp for that from the actual numbers, and a graphic's huge.
Yeah, for sure. My wife is actually one of those people. It's kind of funny. We look at stuff. I'll look at financial reporting of these, big companies she's working with, and as soon as I put it into a graph, she just grasps it immediately. And so that's what's really great about the analytics type tools out there. They automatically just do this for you, and you can either customize it or kind of just take the smart data that they put together through our AI. So another great thing is you want to have a tool that helps save time through OCR and AI and ML. Val, what does OCR stand for exactly?
Optical character recognition.
Yeah, yes, I always forget that.
Yeah, optical character
yeah,
recognition. Yeah, funny story too there. I actually used one of the first ones on the market. I think it was something like OmniPage or something. It was Apple started with it, and they actually gave my firm a scanner to try to see if we could work this for clients or whatever. We spent a couple of weeks trying to see if we could actually make the first OCR on the market with Apple, and it was giant scanner, make all this work for clients. And back then it was just useless. Now it's like, boy, if you don't have great OCR in all your products, especially, when you're scanning receipts or doing expense or whatever, it's just kind of assumed you have it now.
Yeah, for sure. And for example, we have it in our expense tool and in our bank feeds as well. So what's really cool about it is you just snap a picture of your receipt, and it automatically populates your expense. So for example, I go to Starbucks all the time. I take a picture, it automatically knows what it is, and it populates all the appropriate information I can need, like the date, who the vendor is, and also the value. If you need to go in there and put in details, obviously you'd have to do that yourself. But it can save you a lot of time if you have a lot of receipts to scan. Kind of what I was mentioning is a corporate card reconciliation. You can set rules. It's very important as an accountant to have a tool that helps you set rules, so you're not constantly putting in those Starbucks charges. You're not constantly putting in Chick-fil-A or H-E-B is a grocery store down here, Target, business expenses. It's important to have something where you can set a rule and it automatically does that for you every single time, so you can automatically match it and just move on with your day and save you time. There's also great audit and auto audit and approval submissions for expenses we have. It's really a neat feature. For example, whenever we go out on business trips, we have a per diem of $100 a day. And if you go over that, it'll automatically be rejected due to a policy issue. You can still override that and approve it, but what's great about that is it notifies the manager, like Val, for example, he would see that, hey, I went over $100 on this day. Why is that? And sometimes it's because I'm paying for multiple people or something like that. We can talk through it, but it's a good way to just automatically reject things and mark it as red so that the manager or the approver can see that. So kind of what we were talking about earlier, it's important to protect the data of any software you're using. It's important to have like a multi-factor authentication. I forgot what the exact stat is on what that can save, how many accounts that's saved over time, but I know it's a lot in the sense of if someone's trying to break into your account, having that multi-factor will send you a notification kind of saying, hey, someone's trying to get into your account, so you can contact IT or, change your password quickly or something. It's very important.
Yeah, MFA is terribly important, folks, and everything and anything you do. Everywhere you could do it on your bank accounts or everything, and don't get careless with it. That's where these people try to hit you and say, hey, I need you to send me back a text or a code or something. They're trying to bust your MFA and stuff. Let me give you a rule on security. Anything and everything inbound is suspect. Now, if you think the notification is legit, reach out to them through a different channel. Let me give you an example. You get some notice, hey, Wells Fargo, there's something going on with your banking. Click here to check, click in, check on it. No, if I think something's really going on with my banking now, I saw that notice, okay? I'm going to go back out to the website the way I know, in my front door through my account, look, see if everything's okay. No way I'm going to respond in any way, shape, or form to any text, call, or anything else, not directly.
Yeah, for sure. And I know this has saved me a few times, and I've been really happy for it on the Zoho side for sure. So you want proper access and control with proper roles as well. As an accountant, obviously, you guys think about the checks and balances with the accounting platform. It's important in every aspect of whatever software you're using to have these checks and balances. You need to be able to set up the staff, the accountant, who the admin is, who has what certain roles and what they can have access to. Like, for example, you might not want staff to have access to do reports. You might just want them to have access to do AP or AR. You might want only the approver to just approve and not be able to create these invoices. Funny story about that. I used to do internal auditing. It was an internship, and it was this big company I was working for. And we were doing an audit of the AP department. And we found out through that audit that the person was writing the invoice and paying it and printing the check. One person was doing all that stuff. As far as like a software sense, that would not be a good idea, just because there can be a lot of fraudulent activity that goes on that way. And you as an accountant, it would be important for you to kind of inform your clients on what to do in that situation. You also want to make sure whatever software you go with, that there is data backup, because you own that information, the company doesn't. They may own the software, but they don't own your actual information, what your data looks like. So make sure whatever software you're using, you have data backup like ours, or there's others out there that do, but we highly recommend that. Because Val he has a war story on this, but I'll kind of touch on it, where basically we've been working with clients and partners where they're trying to pull data out of a legacy system and they don't have access to it anymore. And it is a complete headache because of all the hoops they have to jump through to get that data. So Val, I'll kind of let you close it with the, well, before we get into the Zoho, the history of Zoho.
Right, we'll get a little data for onions for you on Zoho here. Folks, this is probably the absolute number one way to grow your consulting business, but you got to do it right, okay? We learned this from, actually, my partners in my firm went to a seminar many, many years ago, taught by a guy that was teaching firms how to really grow their practice. Guy's name was Chris Fredrickson. He was kind of famous for this. But he did have a very good point. He said, finish work, whatever job you're finishing for a client, finish it up. And at the very end of all that, first off, if you like working with this person, okay, if you like working with them, because those type of people hang with similar people, the good people hang around with good people. So when it's all said and done, what you do is you go to them and say simply this. You don't go to them like the car salesman do and say, give me 5 of your friends. No, 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 no. That's the worst thing you do. Go to them, simply say one thing. If you like what we do, tell your friends. Thank you for the work. If you like what we do, tell your friends. You can't believe how this works. It works terribly well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And it'll be one of those situations too, where they won't want to recommend someone that they don't think can work with you. They'll probably recommend a friend or someone who they kind of what Val's saying, they hang around good people. If you like this person and you like their morals, then they would recommend someone with similar morals. So I'd highly recommend that as well. So really, we'll kind of close with a Zoho corporate overview, just so you can kind of have a bigger picture of what Zoho is and what we have to offer. Val's touched on this a little bit, but let's just kind of go through what that looks like. We are a global business. We're in over 190 countries right now. We have over 60 plus applications. We've been around for about 26 years. Around 80 million users right now. Actually, that number needs to be updated. We have over 11,000 employees. And what Val touched on earlier as far as technology, we have a connected ecosystem that seamlessly speaks to each other. So that's really what Zoho is in a nutshell. And what that looks like worldwide. We have offices around the world. How many offices do we have? About 20? I can't remember exactly.
Well, yeah, you now have a Toronto. There is a Canadian office in Toronto, and Mexico's shown on that map. There's probably 2 or 3 globally we're missing on this map from the spring. So,
yeah. So in those 190 countries, we have about 20 to 30 offices that are popping up sporadically, actually, because of how much we're growing. We have data centers as well in the major markets, so US, Europe, East Asia, India as well. And what's great about those data centers is they're managed by Zoho employees. So all your information is protected by Zoho employees. So we don't outsource that information. So there's no loopholes.
No AWS, no Azure, no none of that.
Yeah. So kind of touching back to the finance partner program, if you're interested in it, please go to zoho.com/CPA. You can network with other partners, integrate and collaborate with them, get free access to Zoho. You also get a dedicated account manager who can help walk you through everything Zoho has to offer, because Zoho, there is a lot to go with Zoho, but let us kind of guide you the best way we can on that. And here it is again, just zoho.com/CPA to learn more. And thank you. And we'll be happy to welcome to the partner network. Here is Val, myself, email. So please reach out to us if y'all have any questions. And also the person in Canada, if you're interested to go to Zoholics, reach out to us. We'll be happy to send you all the information you need.
Thank you all for attending. Hopefully it was informative and helpful, and good luck.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Hey, well, yeah, well, Val and Nathan, thank you both. Before we wrap it up, a couple of questions I had kind of coming into it. Again, as I shared at the beginning, we are users, very I mean, we've got Suite, but we're a light user of it, I would say. What would be the best path for someone to follow, either if they come out of this, they go, wow, that sounds like it's a pretty comprehensive suite. I just want to be a user. Kind of what's the best path to follow just as a user? And then the follow up to that is, if I really want to dive in and become a partner.
Yeah, so I'll kind of start there.
Go ahead, Nathan.
I think the best path would be to just start with Zoho Books, or just start with one application. Obviously, we have a lot going on, so your preference might be a little different than somebody else's. But if you're looking for an accounting tool, just go with Zoho Books, and you can start branching out to other tools later on. But I would highly recommend you kind of soak in what one tool has to offer before you jump into the next.
Yeah, if you're already a technology consultant, I'd say get one of these accounts through our partner program so that you have your test bed account to play with. And then pick an area, like Nathan says, books is probably the most natural one for most accountants background. But you might have a client that really needs that expense solution. So you may want to dive into the expense solution first to kind of play with that. It depends on what your client's needs are, what your interests are. We get a lot of folks that start with Zoho with CRM first. And then they're like, what else can I do? We seldom lose to Salesforce. Salesforce does not like us. We're a whole different generation from those guys and priced differently. And I think our product's a whole lot better. So, and that's coming from a user. I used Salesforce for about 8 years. And I was just really taken with Zoho CRM when I first saw it. Obviously, I joined the company. So,
yeah. One thing to note as well, Gary, if you go to our website, our pricing is very transparent. You don't have to fill out information and learn about our pricing. You go to any of our applications, and it'll tell you exactly what the price of that tool is. And like Val said, we're priced very competitively, and some were either half or even more than half in certain situations as far as the pricing.
Part of the reason for that too, folks, you're gonna need to know is that our sister company underneath us, we're not paying royalties to Azure or AWS or anybody else to host your stuff globally. That allows us to price differently. So we've got a layer cut out there. Not only is that more secure for us, but also cuts out a price layer.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And I mean, pricing is partly how we ended up on Zoho and in Zoho One. And I think one thing, just before we wrap it up, I think it's, especially if you have people here on the session who are thinking, hey, maybe I should get into this consulting side. The Zoho One, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So you already talked about books, you talked about expense, talked about CRM, we talked about campaigns, and campaigns is like what you're using to do your outbound marketing, your emails on a regular basis. I mean, those are I mean, that right there, if you have 4 separate pieces of technology that you're paying for, Zoho One includes all 4 of those, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than what you're paying for separately. And we didn't even talk about, that your Zoom equivalent or
meeting.
Yeah. And there's just so many other things in there that are part of that suite. So even if I know you guys, the 2 of you aren't necessarily, you don't get paid to sell one-off.
No, we're not salespeople.
Yeah. So we're not going to hound you. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah, but it's a super powerful tool, and again, we're users. This is, I'm not a paid. You're not a
paid spokesman, customer. Yeah, right.
It's just such a the Zoho One suite for us is just such a good deal, and it just has so much potential and so much power. I can't not talk about it. And in fact, we've talked about replacing our whole Office suite with it because it really can replace 365.
Yes.
Well,
the whole Office, email, spreadsheet, word processing, all that. Yes.
Yeah, we just haven't made that move. Yeah. We need to, but we just haven't done it. So, all right. But, and again, one more time, people want to reach you guys.
Yeah, I don't know if they can still see my screen, but Nathan.R@Zoho Corp. We'll put it in the chat real quick. And Val's is Val.
Just Val at ZohoCorp.com, or don't forget the Zoho.com/CPA site. That'll reach our group if you go through there and sign up or ask questions.
It was Zoho.com/CPA. All right.
Once again, we just picked a domain that was easy, clean. It's all accountants, all bookkeepers, everybody related to the accounting profession is welcome.
Great. All right. Well, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Who joined us today. We certainly appreciate you taking some time out of your day as well. So look forward to seeing Val and Nathan somewhere very soon.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You guys, thanks.